What if I told you that a single message could undo months or even years of progress? Picture this. You're finally feeling like yourself again. You've moved on, grown stronger, and built a life that no longer revolves around the past. Then, out of nowhere, your phone lights up with their name. Your heart races, your mind floods with memories, good, bad, and everything in between. In that moment, you're faced with a choice. Do you let them back in? Or do you protect the peace you fought so hard to create? This isn't just about an ex reaching out. This is about you, your power, your growth, and your ability to stand firm in the face of something that once shook you to your core. Because let's be real, when someone from your past resurfaces, it's not just a message, it's a test. A test of your boundaries, your self-respect, and your emotional resilience. And how you handle it will determine whether you move forward or get pulled back into a cycle you've already outgrown. The truth is, most people fail this test. They respond too quickly, give away their power, or fall into the trap of hope, guilt, or nostalgia. They let their ex dictate the terms of the conversation, forgetting that they hold the power now. But not you, not this time. This time, you're going to handle it differently. This time, you're going to move with clarity, confidence, and control. In this video, we're diving into the first mistakes you must avoid when your ex contacts you. These are the pitfalls that can pull you back into a cycle of emotional chaos. Mistakes that can undo all the progress you've made. But if you can avoid them, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more in control than ever before. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your ex reaching out, that's an outside event. How you respond, that's entirely up to you. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to respond in a way that leaves you standing taller than ever. So let's get into it. These are the 7 mistakes you must avoid when your ex contacts you. Mistake 1. Don't react emotionally. Take a pause. When your ex reaches out, your first instinct might be to respond immediately. Whether it's excitement, anger, or confusion, emotions can cloud your judgment and lead you to say or do something you'll regret later. This is why the first and most important rule is to pause. Take a deep breath. Step away from your phone. Give yourself time to process what's happening. Reacting in the heat of the moment is a mistake because it hands over your power. When you respond emotionally, you're not thinking clearly. You're reacting based on feelings that may not even reflect your true self. Nostalgia might make you miss the good times, while anger might make you say something harsh. Either way, you're not in control, and when you're not in control, you're giving away your power. The very thing you've worked so hard to reclaim. Instead, take a step back. Wait a few hours or even a full day before deciding how to respond. Use this time to reflect on what you truly want. Are you responding because you feel obligated? Because you're hoping for reconciliation? Or because you genuinely want to engage in a meaningful conversation? Emotional control is power, and by taking a pause, you're reclaiming that power. This pause isn't just about avoiding a mistake. It's about reclaiming your agency. It's about showing yourself that you're no longer the person who reacts impulsively. You've grown. You've changed. And that growth starts with how you handle this moment. By taking a step back, you're giving yourself the space to respond from a place of strength, not emotion. Remember, your ex doesn't dictate the timeline of this conversation. You do. By responding on your own terms, you're showing them and yourself that you're no longer the person who jumps at their every word. You're no longer the person who lets their emotions dictate your actions. You're someone who moves with intention, clarity, and control. This is also a moment to remind yourself of your worth. You've worked hard to heal, to grow, and to move forward. Don't let a single message undo all of that progress. Take the time to center yourself, to remember who you are, and to respond in a way that aligns with the person you've become. And here's an affirmation to carry with you. I am in control of my emotions, and I respond from a place of strength, not impulse. Drop this affirmation in the comments if it resonates with you. Let's build a community of people who are committed to growing stronger every day. By taking a pause, you're not just avoiding a mistake. You're setting the tone for how this interaction will go. You're showing your ex that you're no longer the person they once knew. You're someone who values their peace, their growth, and their power. And that's a message worth sending. Mistake 2. Don't assume their intentions are pure. When your ex reaches out, it's easy to assume they've had a change of heart. Maybe they miss you. Maybe they've realized what they've lost. Maybe they've finally seen the light and want to make things right. But here's the hard truth. Not every ex reaches out with pure intentions. Some do it out of loneliness. Some do it to see if they still have access to you. And some do it simply because they're bored or curious. The reality is, their reasons for reaching out may have nothing to do with you, and everything to do with their own needs or insecurities. Words are easy. Anyone can say, I miss you, or I've changed. But actions are what matter. If your ex is serious about reconnecting, their actions will prove it over time. They'll show consistency, accountability, and genuine effort. But if they're just reaching out with empty promises or vague statements, it's a red flag. Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If your ex showed you who they were during the relationship, whether it was through inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional unavailability, don't forget that now. People entries can change, but real change takes time, effort, and consistent action. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Are they reaching out sporadically, only to disappear again? Are they avoiding accountability for past mistakes? Are they just saying what they think you want to hear without backing it up with action? If so, don't fall for it. Protect your peace by keeping your expectations in check. It's not your job to decipher their intentions or give them the benefit of the doubt. Your job is to protect your energy and focus on your own growth. It's also important to remember that you don't owe them anything. Just because they've reached out doesn't mean you have to respond or engage. If their intentions feel unclear or self-serving, it's okay to keep your distance. You don't have to let them back into your life just because they've decided to reappear. Your boundaries are yours to set, and you have every right to enforce them. Here's an affirmation to carry with you. I trust my intuition and protect my peace. I don't assume intentions, I observe actions. Drop this affirmation in the comments if it resonates with you. Let's remind each other that we deserve clarity, respect, and consistency in all our relationships. By not assuming their intentions are pure, you're protecting yourself from potential disappointment and emotional setbacks. You're also sending a powerful message that you value yourself too much to settle for anything less than genuine effort and respect. If your ex is serious about reconnecting, they'll show it through their actions. And if they're not, well, that's their loss, not yours. Remember, you've worked too hard to let someone else's mixed signals or unclear intentions disrupt your peace. Keep your focus on what you can control: your boundaries, your growth, and your self-respect. The rest will take care of itself. Mistake 3. Don't immediately offer forgiveness or closure. Forgiveness is a gift, but it's one you give on your terms, not theirs. It's not something to be rushed or handed out simply because someone asks for it. If your ex is reaching out to clear their conscience, that's not your responsibility. If they want closure but you're still healing, you don't have to provide it. Closure is something you create for yourself, not something they hand to you. And most importantly, you owe them nothing. Your priority is your own healing and growth, not their need for absolution. When an ex reaches out, it's easy to feel pressured to offer forgiveness or closure, especially if they seem sincere or vulnerable. But here's the thing. Forgiveness and closure are deeply personal processes. They can't be rushed, and they certainly shouldn't be given just because someone else is asking for them. True forgiveness comes from within, and it happens when you're ready, not when someone else decides they need it. Similarly, closure isn't something you can get from another person. It's something you create for yourself by reflecting, healing, and moving forward. If your ex is reaching out because they want to clear the air or make things right, ask yourself, is this about them or about you? Are they genuinely seeking to repair the harm they caused? Or are they just trying to ease their own guilt? If it's the latter, that's not your burden to carry. You don't have to forgive someone just because they're ready to be forgiven. And you don't have to provide closure just because they're asking for it. Your healing journey is yours alone, and it doesn't have to align with their timeline. It's also important to recognize that forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness is about releasing the hold that anger, resentment, or pain has on you. It's not about giving someone a free pass to re-enter your world. Similarly, closure doesn't require a conversation with your ex. It's about finding peace within yourself, regardless of what they say or do. If your ex is truly sorry, they'll understand that forgiveness and closure take time, and they'll respect your boundaries. They won't pressure you or make you feel guilty for needing space. They'll recognize that their actions have consequences and that healing is a process, not a one-time event. If they're not willing to give you the time and space you need, that's a clear sign that their intentions aren't as pure as they claim. By not immediately offering forgiveness or closure, you're protecting your emotional well-being and honoring your own healing process. You're also sending a powerful message that you value yourself too much to rush your growth for someone else's benefit. Forgiveness and closure are gifts you give yourself, and they happen when you're ready, not when someone else decides it's time. Remember, you've come too far to let someone else's guilt or need for closure derail your progress. Keep your focus on what truly matters: your peace, your growth, and your future. The rest will fall into place when the time is right. Mistake 4. Don't overshare your life too soon. When your ex reaches out and asks how you've been, it's tempting to spill everything. You might feel the urge to show them how well you're doing, prove that you've moved on, or even subtly let them know they've lost someone amazing. But here's the thing. Oversharing gives them power. It lets them back into your world in a way that can disrupt your peace and reopen old wounds. The moment you start sharing too much, you're no longer in control of the narrative. They are. Oversharing is a common mistake because it often comes from a place of wanting validation. You might want them to see how much you've grown, how happy you are without them, or how successful you've become. But here's the hard truth. If they didn't value you during the relationship, they're unlikely to truly value you now. Sharing too much too soon can also make you vulnerable. It gives them insight into your life, your emotions, and your current state of mind. Information they can use to manipulate or influence you, whether intentionally or not. Instead, keep your responses light and detached. If they ask how you've been, a simple, "I'm doing well, thanks," is enough. You don't need to share every detail of your life. especially if you're still healing. The less they know, the less they can influence you. This isn't about being cold or dismissive. It's about protecting your peace and maintaining your boundaries. You control the narrative now, and that means deciding how much or how little you want to share. It's also important to remember that your life is no longer their business. The relationship ended for a reason, and that means they forfeited the right to know the intimate details of your life. Whether you're thriving or still working through things, that's your journey, not theirs. Sharing too much can create a false sense of intimacy, making it easier for them to slip back into your life in ways that might not be healthy for you. Another reason to avoid oversharing is that it can reignite old emotions. When you start talking about your life, it's easy to fall back into familiar patterns of communication. Before you know it, you might find yourself seeking their approval, validation, or even comfort, things you've worked hard to find within yourself. By keeping your responses brief and neutral, you're protecting yourself from falling back into those old dynamics. This doesn't mean you have to be rude or dismissive. It simply means you're prioritizing your well-being over their curiosity. If they're genuinely interested in reconnecting, they'll respect your boundaries and take the time to rebuild trust. If they're not, they'll likely lose interest when they realize they can't easily access your life or emotions. Either way, you win. By not oversharing, you're sending a clear message that your life is yours to protect. And you're no longer willing to let someone else dictate your emotional state. You're in control now, and that control starts with how much you choose to reveal. Keep your focus on your growth, your peace, and your future. The less they know, the stronger you'll feel. Mistake 5. Don't fall for the "let's just talk" trap. When your ex reaches out and says, "Let's just talk," it's easy to feel a mix of curiosity and hope. Maybe you think this is their way of reconciling or finally addressing the issues that led to the breakup. But before you dive into that conversation, it's crucial to ask yourself, why do they want to talk? Are they coming back with real accountability? Are they offering solutions to past problems? Or are they simply looking to reopen the door without any intention of walking through it? Empty conversations lead nowhere, and falling into this trap can leave you feeling more confused and hurt than before. The phrase, "let's just talk," is often vague and open-ended, which makes it a red flag. It's a way for your ex to test the waters without committing to anything concrete. They might want to see if you're still emotionally available, if you've moved on, or if they still have a hold on you. But here's the thing. If they're serious about reconnecting, their approach will be clear and purposeful. They'll take accountability for their past actions, express genuine remorse, and show a willingness to work on the issues that caused the relationship to fail. If they're not doing any of these things, then just talking is likely a way to keep you on the hook without making any real effort. Empty conversations can also be emotionally draining. They often revolve around nostalgia, rehashing old arguments, or revisiting memories that no longer serve you. These discussions rarely lead to closure or resolution. Instead, they keep you stuck in the past, reliving emotions and scenarios that you've worked hard to move beyond. If your ex isn't bringing anything new to the table, then the conversation is likely more about their needs than yours. Before agreeing to talk, set clear boundaries and expectations. Ask yourself, what do I hope to gain from this conversation? If the answer is nothing substantial, it's okay to say no. You don't owe them your time or emotional energy, especially if the conversation lacks purpose. If they're serious about reconnecting, they'll respect your boundaries and come back with a more thoughtful and intentional approach. Remember, You've worked hard to heal and grow. Don't let a vague request to just talk pull you back into a cycle of confusion and emotional turmoil. If they want to talk, make sure it's for a reason that aligns with your well-being and growth. Otherwise, you're better off focusing on your own journey and leaving the past where it belongs. Mistake 6. Don't let guilt make you respond. When your ex reaches out, they might not always come with good intentions or clarity. Sometimes, they'll use guilt as a tool to pull you back into their orbit. They might say things like, "I just wanted to hear your voice one last time," or "I can't believe you don't care anymore." These statements are designed to manipulate your emotions, making you feel responsible for their feelings or choices. But here's the truth. Your growth is not up for debate, and you don't owe them a response just because they're struggling with their own decisions. Guilt is a powerful emotion, and it's one that many people use to control others. When your ex tries to guilt trip you, they're essentially trying to shift the responsibility of their emotions onto you. They want you to feel bad for moving on, for setting boundaries, or for prioritizing your own well-being. But here's the thing. Their emotions are not your responsibility. You're not their therapist, their savior, or their emotional crutch. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, your growth, and your future. It's important to recognize guilt tripping for what it is. Manipulation. When someone tries to make you feel guilty, they're often trying to regain control over a situation where they no longer have any. They might be struggling with their own regrets, loneliness, or insecurities. But that doesn't mean you have to fix it for them. In fact, responding out of guilt can actually do more harm than good. It can reopen old wounds, reignite toxic dynamics, and pull you back into a cycle of emotional chaos. Instead of letting guilt dictate your actions, choose peace. Remind yourself that you've worked hard to heal and grow, and you don't have to sacrifice that progress for someone else's comfort. If your ex is truly struggling, that's something they need to work through on their own or with the help of a professional, not by leaning on you. You are not obligated to respond just because they're having a hard time. Your boundaries are valid, and your peace is non-negotiable. It's also worth noting that guilt often stems from a place of unresolved emotions. If you find yourself feeling guilty for not responding, take a moment to reflect on why. Are you truly responsible for their feelings? Or are you falling back into old patterns of people-pleasing? Remember, you can care about someone's well-being without taking on their emotional baggage. You can wish them the best without sacrificing your own peace. By choosing not to let guilt make you respond, you're reclaiming your power. You're showing yourself and your ex that your boundaries are firm and your priorities are clear. You're no longer willing to let someone else's emotions dictate your actions. And that's a powerful step forward in your journey of growth and self-respect. Mistake 7. Don't let this distract you from your growth. When your ex reaches out, it can feel like a seismic shift in your world. Suddenly, all the progress you've made, the healing, the growth, the forward momentum, feels like it's hanging in the balance. But here's the truth. Their message doesn't have to derail you. You've worked too hard to let a simple text or call throw you off track. This moment is a test of your resilience, your boundaries, and your commitment to your own growth. And the way you handle it will determine whether you continue moving forward or get pulled back into the past. The first thing to ask yourself is their return adding to my life or disrupting it? If their message brings clarity, accountability, and a genuine desire to make amends, then it might be worth engaging on your terms. But if their return feels like a distraction, a disruption, or a step backward, then it's time to refocus on what truly matters. You. Your growth, your peace, and your future are too important to sacrifice for someone who may not have your best interests at heart. It's easy to get caught up in the what-ifs when an ex reappears. What if they've changed? What if this is our second chance? What if I miss out on something meaningful? But here's the thing. You're not the same person you were when the relationship ended. You've grown, you've learned, you've built a life that doesn't revolve around them. And that's something worth protecting. Don't let their return make you forget how far you've come, or how much you've accomplished on your own. One of the biggest mistakes people make is allowing an ex's return to become the center of their attention. They start overanalyzing every word, every intention, and every possible outcome. They let their ex's actions, or lack thereof, dictate their emotions and decisions. But here's the reality. Your ex doesn't get to control your narrative anymore. You do. And that means keeping your focus on your own journey, not theirs. If their return is disrupting your peace, it's okay to step back. You don't have to respond right away, or at all. You don't have to let their presence in your life take up mental or emotional space. Your growth is your priority. And anything that threatens that deserves to be set aside. Remember, you've already proven that you can thrive without them. Don't let their reappearance make you doubt that. It's also important to recognize that growth isn't linear. There will be moments when you feel tempted to revisit the past or question your progress. That's normal. What matters is how you handle those moments. Do you give in to the temptation? Or do you remind yourself of how far you've come? Do you let their return define your worth? Or do you stand firm in the knowledge that you are enough, with or without them? By not letting their return distract you from your growth, you're sending a powerful message that your life is yours to live, and no one else gets to dictate its direction. You're showing yourself and your ex that you've moved on, not just from the relationship, but from the person you were when you were in it. You're stronger now, wiser, more resilient, and that's something no message can take away. So keep your focus on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, and your future. If their return adds value to your life, great. If it doesn't, let it go. You've already proven that you can thrive without them. Don't let their reappearance make you forget that. So there you have it. The first mistakes to avoid when your ex contacts you. This isn't about them. It's about you. Your power, your confidence, your self-respect. You hold the cards now, and how you respond sets the tone for your future. Drop a comment below. Has your ex ever reached out? How did you handle it? Let's talk about it. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.